What is the most hurtful thing a medical professional has ever said to you? Doctor. Asterisk glances at my genitals. Asterisk you have herpes. Me. But I've never had sex. Doctor. Oh. Stop crying. I diagnose this all the time. It's pretty common. Me. But aren't you going to at least do a test? Doctor. Fine. But it's going to hurt and it's going to show herpes. Indeed. It was an allergic reaction to a medication. Edit. Well, thanks for the gold. I appreciate it. Greater than I diagnose this all the time. Well, now you know why. My back hurts. Back herpes. I have chronic headaches. Did you say chronic herpes? My nose is run. Herpes. Edit. Gilded. Oh shit, thanks for the herpes. Patient walks into office. Doctor, I think I might have herpes. Doctor. That's my line. Get the fuck out of my office. Asterisk me with my pants down. Getting checked for a hernia. Asterisk. Doctor. Are you able to get an erection? Me. That is an erection. Edit. Well, a lot of people asking why you need an erection for a hernia. I'm sure you don't. The doctor was asking if I was able to get one, since a hernia can affect your genitals. And the doctor was just checking. And then the doctor dropped his pants and said, "This is an erection." I went to the doctor's office as a child because I was terribly ill and throwing up. The doctor asked if school exams were coming up. I said yes. She simply said, HMM. That explains it then. And then she rolled her eyes. Should have thrown up on her. I had a good doctor but bad parents. I had a weird cough and was always tired. My parents kept telling me to stop faking. Well, finally I demanded to see a doctor. I had a serious case of pneumonia. The doctor was considering sending me to the hospital. I looked at my mom and said, "I told you I was sick." My doctor then asked how long I had been sick. I told her over a month. The doctor went off on my mom and threatened to call CPS. I had to take my son to the ER when he was 2 because he was having trouble breathing. The ER doc said he most likely had asthma, so she gave us an inhaler. Flash forward 3 days when we go to have his follow-up with his pediatrician. Dr. Jackass. So, he saw this ER doctor once in his life and you trusted her to make a lifelong determination that your son has asthma. That's pretty ridiculous. 6 months later, after 3 more visits with my son being unable to breathe. Dr. Jackass. It looks like I owe you an apology. It turns out your son quite likely does have asthma. Surprised he apologized, at least. Yeah, I was shocked. He was a crotchety old military doctor, so pretty par for the course actually. Not to me, but to my mom. Monsieur doctor said, "Oh, just let him hide in the bathroom." I hid in the bathroom when I got really bad headaches that turned out to be due to a brain tumor. Doc must have assumed I was masturbating. New doctor took my height measurement and jots it down before issuing me a very casual, tall for a woman. I am a bearded man. He was just stating a fact. That height would in fact be tall for a woman. Came in for something totally different, and she commented on my stretch marks on my hips and around my breast. I was around 17 years old and had gotten them when I hit puberty because I developed so much in a short amount of time. I explained this to her and she had a whole dialogue with herself about her originally thinking it would have been because I used to be fat. And after my explanation just lamenting about how sad it was for me that I would have to live my entire life with a body like that. Changed doctor the next day. "I'm so sorry that happened to you." 1 month after I gave birth to my first child, I went to see a new cardiologist. I was there for my heart, but he found it necessary to comment on how many stretch marks I had gotten and how they were unusually bad for a woman so young. When I was 16 and dealing with partial deafness. Sometimes being a teenage girl is hard, but it's hard to parent them too, so there's no need to exaggerate things to make things harder for your parents. Knock it off. There's nothing wrong with you. 2 tumors, 9 surgeries, and a CSF leak later. Yes, doctor, there really was something wrong. I'd send that doctor a card with images of your tumors to the doctor with a note that reads, the inadequacy of your professional capabilities is a measurable danger to public health. That needs to be completed with knock it off. There's something wrong with you. Edit. Thanks for the silver. Was having digestive issues I eventually learned were a result of my undiagnosed cancer. Doctors suggested I should wipe better. Doctors should heed their own advice. That one sounds full of shit. Edit. Obligatory thanks for popping the gold cherry. 3 months-ish pregnant. Start spotting. Spend about 10 hours at the hospital. Vaginal ultrasounds. Lots of diagnostic testing. Nothing they can do. Tell me to go home and wait to miscarry. I'm a wreck. It's now late. Dark and rainy outside. But I don't have a way to get home because hubby is at work with our only car. Was very young and poor. Doc says the nurses have taxi vouchers they can give me to get home. Go to nurse's station. Ask for a taxi voucher. Nurse says, we only give taxi vouchers to women who have living babies. Edit. Long-time lurker. And don't post much. So still learning the ropes. Thanks for the gold. Silver. Flat. Also, till that trying to respond to comments on mobile doesn't work very well. // Thanks so much for all of your kind words. If you take anything away from this, please let it be the fact that young people sometimes need a little help navigating life. This nurse's one comment caused me years of being afraid to ask for things for fear of being not only turned down, but also humiliated. TL. Doctor, try not to be a dick. What the actual fuck? This took my breath away. I'm so sorry this happened. I woke up in the hospital and heard a nurse running out saying, he's awake. The doctor comes into the room and tells me to move my toes. I ask them where I am and what's going on. He just gets more insistent that I move your toes. I asked again where I was and that was going on. He almost yells at me, move your toes. I said I am moving my toes. And immediately he says, you will never walk again. That's how I found out I was a paraplegic at 21 years old. I had been in a single car wreck and was thrown 70 to 80 feet from the car and my vertebrae was dislocated and laying next to another one. I don't remember the car wreck, but that exchange with the doctor is burned into my brain. And that was 31 years ago. Edit 1. Damn, this blew up. Thank you to you all for your comments. I had a seatbelt on but went off a small hill next to the interstate after clipping an end of the guardrail. Flipped the car down the hill and seatbelt gave way under the pressure and I went out on the driver door window. My back collapsed around the door sill and dislocated one vertebra next to the one below it. I'm a big guy, 6 feet 4 inches and 235 at the time, and the force was too much for the seat structure. I found out all these details over the next few weeks while I was in rehab. Edit 2. Gold and silver, thank you. Didn't think this story would touch as many as it has. Holy hell, I'm speechless. I'm so sorry they told you like that. When I was like 5 to 8, Mom took me to the dentist and he was stabbing above and under my tongue in the inside of my cheeks and he said, if you cry I am going to start over. Edit 0. I did cry at some point during a regular procedure and he did start stabbing everywhere in my mouth again. Edit 1. He was stabbing me with the tool dentists use to clean your teeth and remove plaque. No needles were involved. If you start over, you get a turn in the stabby chair. You must have seen my dentist taking my wisdom teeth out. Have an IV put in and am trying to breathe the gas in as fast as I can because I do not like IVs. Doctor comes over and says, if you can't calm down, I'll have to start all over. I cried and blacked out. Great way to calm down a kid. The suggestion that I had confused a panic attack for a seizure. To clarify, this was my first grand mal seizure. My father had them prior, and my mother witnessed both him having one and myself having mine. According to her, It was identical. I even hit all the textbook marks of having had an epileptic seizure. From the memory loss to the postictal fatigue. The emergency room doctor didn't run any tests or examine my family history of epilepsy. He simply noticed the anxiety disorder in my medical history and assumed that I was just having a panic attack, and wrote it off as my only issue being that I'd hit my head. Talking to my psychiatrist later about the incident, he confirmed based only on my account, corroborated with Mom's details where I couldn't fill in, that I had definitely had a seizure, and he sent the orders for further testing himself. He also couldn't refrain from saying, "What the fuck is wrong with this doctor?" Quote, "I'm glad that at least one of my doctors took my seriously. I agree, how completely lazy and arrogant, and potentially life-threatening. Very negligent. Once phoned a doctor about a lump I'd found on my balls. He said, is it black and the size of a tennis ball? To which I said no. And he said it's nothing to worry about then and hung up. Edit. It ended up being a cyst that I had checked out and was luckily fine. Didn't expect my balls to blow up so much, but I'd hoped they'd one day earn me gold. Thank you, kind sir. Blessings of Sendar upon ye. That's not a very good doctor. Lol. The fuck? I didn't know your balls had to go black before there's something wrong. You know what they say, once you go black, getting out of the army, you are 100% healthy. My medical record was about 6 inches thick. Went to a civilian doctor and they were astonished anyone would say that. I am rated 80% disabled. You can't be in that much pain. You must have more energy than that. Turns out the lining of my nerves was being destroyed. I was becoming paralyzed, painfully. My doctor didn't actually speak. His reaction was worth 1,000 words though. He literally rolled his eyes, threw his head back inside very loudly. I had been having a semi-regular pain in my abdomen for years. A terrible cramping pain. I'm a man, so it wasn't menstrual in nature. That would double me over in pain and would last for a day or two and then go away. I had seen a few different doctors about it and none of them could figure it out. I was seeing a gastroenterologist about another problem and mentioned my pain to hi monsieur. He did some tests, tried a few things, did an endoscopy and told me he couldn't find anything wrong. The next time I got the cramping pains, I went back to him and he performed his non-verbal routine mentioned above. It would have been less hurtful if he just told me I was a hypochondriac. I gave up on figuring out the pain. Fast forward a few years and I'm having a bout of these cramps. Middle of the night, I get up to go to the bathroom. Monsieur, I puke my guts out and proceed to pass out on the bathroom floor for a few seconds. I make it back to bed without waking my wife and somehow fall back to sleep. In the morning I get up and need to puke again. My wife goes with me out of concern and I pass out on the toilet. She calls 911 and I get whisked away to the hospital. Didn't take too long for the doctors to determine I had a bowel obstruction. After 6 hours of surgery and a subsequent week stay in the hospital, I'm back home and feeling better than I have in years. Turns out that I had a 99% bowel obstruction caused by adhesions that had been slowly developing on my intestines since an appendectomy that I had in 1980. The surgeon told me that it was so bad in a few places that my intestines had been twisted on themselves. He referred to it as a rat's nest. The surgery was in March 2017, and not only have the cramps not come back once, I haven't felt this great in decades. TLDR. Doctors couldn't find a problem with me, made me feel like a hypochondriac for almost 20 years. Turns out I had bowel obstruction caused by a surgery that took place 37 years earlier. Edit. A few quick things. I wanted to say thanks for the silver. I wasn't expecting anyone to even see this little story of mine. I made a few responses in the comments, but I did want to add a little to the story. My original appendectomy in 1980 became infected, which led to a second surgery to remove the infection. This was an 8-hour surgery that left me with a 9-inch scar on my abdomen. The eventual bowel obstruction wasn't always an obstruction, it was just adhesions on my intestines that were restricting my natural muscular movements and leading to occasional intense pain and constipation. I'm pretty certain the only way this could have been found was with an exploratory laparoscopy, which is exactly what happened once it turned into an obstruction and an emergency room visit. The good news is that I got fixed. I'm a much happier person, and I can poop better than ever before. LPT. Develop a medical condition and feel like shit for decades so that you can feel better than ever when you get old and have it treated. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.